Hi everybody, I'm in Columbia, South Carolina, and I'm here with Mayor Benjamin. I am so grateful you're taking time out of your busy day. We're going to talk a little bit about homelessness and affordable housing. Can you tell me a little bit about homelessness here in Columbia?
It's a major challenge. It's a major challenge. We're seeing it all across America. This global phenomenon of people moving back to cities and metropolitan economies. Now cities make up 85.5% of the American population, cities in the metro areas that surround them. 92% of all GDP, people are coming back home. So we're seeing revitalized urban cores, and at the very same time, significant displacement, a significant need for more social services. Some folks who have been, for one reason or another, cut out of the American economic mainstream and need a great deal of help getting back either on their feet or just having a chance just to live a productive life. So we're seeing that in a very real way here on the ground in Columbia, using a couple different strategies to deal with it. But as I speak to my colleagues, both in the state, but even all across the country, it's real.
Yeah, I think every mayor has this at top level, homelessness and affordable housing, for the reasons that you state, is that there is an urban renewal. I love your downtown area. It's just really a nice, quaint little walk down the street. I can see why people would want to move here. But at the same time, then you just go a couple blocks and you see people living in a park.
Yeah. Well, this is what you've seen, the successes we've had have been by design. We believe very much so that everyone has an emotional connection to their historic commercial corridor, their main street, or whatever the street happens to be named in whichever city they're in. If Main Street's alive and vibrant, then people feel the city's alive and vibrant, and the converse is also true. So our commitment is to try and create some type of a walkable, bikeable, pedestrian experience that people can enjoy as they come and visit the city. We also, and this has to be part of who you are, or your ideology as a city, is that you want to be a city for all people. You've got to be a city where the people who work in your city can also live in your city, focused on creating truly affordable and or workforce housing. And you also got to be a city of compassion. You got to realize that at every point in our lives, all of us need a little bit of help.
Yeah.
Sometimes some of us, maybe it might just be a day or two. Sometimes it might be a month or two, and some people will need help longer. And it's got to be our commitment that we're going to be a city for all people. We're going to exhibit the type of compassion that allows people to live up to their full potential in our city. It's not easy. It can be tough. There are forces, some within our control, some outside of our control, that we try to influence, that help make that more of a reality. But I will say we have a lot of good actors, from the government and other governmental entities to NGOs to churches and mosques and synagogues, and a whole lot of individuals who are trying to do their part.
I have a friend that says it, I think, so perfectly, is that you have to have boots to be able to bootstrap.
Oh, absolutely.
And, the publics just think so often that, people can just bootstrap their life back on their own, but they need some help. Everybody needs help.
We romanticize rugged individualism quite often. And the reality is that if you follow the data, now, even at very young ages, the number of traumatic experiences that children are going through, and the way it follows them throughout their lives, the systemic challenges we're dealing with as relates not just to poverty and food insecurity, but the criminal justice system, they all add up over time.
And they interconnect.
And the reality is that not only do they interconnect, but each and every one of us are interconnected and interdependent. And understanding that and realizing that if we do make smart, solid, thoughtful investments that are data-driven, but also wrapped in a whole lot of love and compassion, it's amazing what you can do to help the entire community not just that guy who you're convinced, yes, he looks able-bodied, but you have no idea what he's gone through.
Right.
And it would inure to our collective benefit to try and do the right thing.
Individualism is really based on the American dream. And we all know somebody that's, I'm one. I was homeless. I worked myself up, but I had help along the way.
Yeah.
And I think that as communities are, changing, and we're seeing, economic growth, but we're also seeing poverty, we have to.
Yeah, it's such a challenge because I'm a firm believer, and I've been in public service, not in this job, but now, not a majority of my adult life, but a preponderance of it, that we live in the greatest nation in the history of the world. There's no doubt in my mind about that. Some of the challenges we face, however, are not challenges of the last 3, 4, 5 years. They are literally decades, and in some respects, centuries in the making.
Yeah.
Problems that take that long to create will require thoughtful, long-term solutions, and we've had a real disconnect, particularly 3 levels of government, particularly in D.C., on making thoughtful, long-term, strategic investments in building people, and that's a major challenge that we face here on a local level.
So let's switch a little bit, because it is, again, interconnected to affordable housing. In most cities where I travel, every city I travel, so I assume that it's same here, housing costs are going up. I did a little search, and I live in a small town in upstate New York, college town, and the college, which is great because it's bringing in, the economy would be totally stagnant if it wasn't for the college, but it's also raising up housing costs.
Sure. Well, we have a unique situation here. The beautiful city you referenced earlier. This is the very first planned capital city in the United States, laid out by John Ginyard in the early part of the 19th century. The city was born in 1786, March 17th. Since 1801, we've been home to what's now the University of South Carolina. We also host the Army's largest training base in the world, Fort Jackson, here. All 3 of those entities have a multi-billion-dollar economic impact on our region, but none of them pay property taxes. So you think about the way in which we're enabled to use ad valorem taxes to fund various meaningful services throughout the community. We literally have 79.5% of our real estate not on the tax rolls. So it creates a really interesting situation that requires us to be more thoughtful and strategic about using the funds that we do have, and how we leverage also the funds that we have being repatriated from Washington. And I say repatriated because it's always important that when the mayors go to D.C., and I've had the privilege of serving as president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors, sometimes folks, they look at you like you come up there with your hands out. And I had to remind a senator in the meeting that maybe became slightly uncivil for a little while, that this is money coming from D.C. is not manna falling from heaven. These are tax dollars.
Right.
Citizens are sending this money to Washington, D.C. every April 15th, and we expect that money to be repatriated back home for our collective citizens. They represent the same people we represent, but we are on the ground seeing our unique needs in our respective communities or respective cities, and using them very effectively. I have to have a balanced budget every single year. We can't run deficits and borrow without some plan for repayment. So we've been creative. We've used CDBG funding very creatively here to address our affordable housing needs. We decided a few years back to sequester our CDBG funds over a period of years to begin a program that we've used with a floating group of about 6 banks, in which we approached the banks and said, we're going to bring you some of our citizens, all of whom are at 80% or below 80% of the area median income. Some will have had a checkered past. We're going to take them all through a course and make sure that everyone understands the roles of a responsible homeowner. But we want you to loan them 80% of the mortgage, and we'll use our sequestered CDBG funds to loan the other 20%. So folks don't have to come up with a significant down payment. Because the banks only loan 80%, they get a really good rate. Our money is loaned at about 1% or 1.5%. The bank doesn't charge them PMI. So we've come up with a program now. We have just over, I guess, about 600 folks borrowing under the program. We have a $130 million loan portfolio. We have a default rate of less than 1%.
Wow.
People who are using this, as you know, if you give folks a shot, if you give them an opportunity, and I'm a big believer that all across this country, kind of would kind of fuel the very interesting times in which we're living right now, regardless of political ideology. I think a lot of folks just don't feel like they're getting a fair shot. Give me a shot. Give me a real shot. Don't make me start at home base and someone starts on third and tell me that it's a fair game. If you give me a real opportunity to prove myself and to participate in this American economy, I'll do it. Our folks are using this program so well. We've even modified it in the past couple of years, in which we're giving a residency bonus to our police officers, and many of them think about who's at 80% AMI. Police officers, teachers, nurses. I mean, it's amazing when you really start thinking about being a city for all people. But we started giving our officers a residency bonus, and that residency bonus can serve as their down pay, as the money to help serve the pay for the mortgage. Just again, as we do with all the other social issues we're dealing with, having an officer in the neighborhood develop that relationship with neighbors. But that's one example. And we see it all across the country. In every city, the challenges are a little bit different. If you're a coastal city, if you're in the heartland, we have some systemic issues of poverty with Black and brown people in the Southeast. I know it's very different in Charleston, West Virginia. The challenges they might face are in some of the places in the heartland dealing with the opioid epidemic. I mean, it's just different. But having that ability to use federal CDBG funds, home loan funds, HOPA funds, whatever happens to be, to meet your needs on the local level, and showing 100% full accountability for how it's used, how effective it's been. We want more of that. We need more of that.
I've taken up enough of your time. Any last words?
No, I think I just encourage your viewers to stay active and engaged and vocal. I mean, this is a time. This is early on in the beginning of 2017, I asked a friend if this republic was resilient or fragile, and he's a constitutional scholar. He's helped set up republics all across the globe, and his answer was, "We'll see." And the reality is that right now we need people of goodwill. They are on the right and the left. They're in the middle. Really to step up and make sure that good, smart programs that help build people, that help build cities for all people, survive and thrive in Washington. We can make it happen together.
Yeah. If you're watching, there's a link down below, or you go to invisiblepeople.tv/get involved. We made it easy for you to tweet, Facebook, call, email your state and federal legislators. Your voice matters, and we need you to speak up and say, hey, we need support for more affordable housing, and we got to get homeless people off the streets into housing. Thank you, everybody.